I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions had an echo with so much space. Ooh.
What's up, guys? My name is Kai. I'm the Nerd of Strength, and we've made it through 2 days of the qualifying rounds for the 2025 World's Strongest Man, and now we're on to the finals. And it's been 2 nail-biting and crazy days. And just like a lot of you guys, I'm home this year, and damn, I really do wish I was there to see the drama unfold, because we have an interesting group of guys for the finals this year. Now, I'm not going to run down completely what happened in the qualifying rounds, solely because I just want to get a prediction video out for the actual finals before they start this morning. But I am going to run down some highlights. But if you want to actually know what happens, all of the guys that are there are, putting out some very good videos, so you give them a follow. Lucas Hatton, Patty Haynes, the Stoltmans, they all have YouTube videos that you can watch. But I do have a couple of highlights that I want to go over. And of course, I got to start out by saying that I feel really bad for Luke Richardson and Evan Singleton, 2 guys that a lot of people said were going to the finals. Some people had Evan for podium, and it just sucks that 2 guys who were so injury prone once again ended up getting injured. It's like 2021 all over again, especially for Luke. So in 2021, literally on the first event, the loading event, he tore his bicep. And this year, again, on the first event, on the loading event, he tore his bicep. 2021, Evan got sick. He got the flu. He just very much underperformed in 2021. But yeah, he had 4 cursed years at World's Strongest Man. Tore his bicep 2020. Got the flu, underperformed in 21. Are we still even sure exactly what happened in 2022? His throat closed, he got dizzy. I'm not sure if if it was allergens or whatnot, but, got taken out by medical in 2022, and didn't really make his first final until 2023, and then podium last year. But this year, again, he also tore his bicep on the first event, the loading medley, so that sucks. You really do hate to see it, especially for those guys. Especially, really, for Luke. This is how many injuries now? He was on the upswing since coming back at, England's Strongest Man and Britain's Strongest Man late 2023, early 2024. And he's very young. He's younger than me. You hate to see that. Some shockers out of the qualifying groups. Mateus very underperformed. Personally, I said in my prediction video I didn't think he was going to make the finals, which, you don't want to be true, but it's just like I said, he said in his last video before Worlds, he wasn't ready. And I believed him. And he wasn't. He vastly underperformed. However, he did say that he had the flu, or he was feeling ill or very sick, prior to getting here and here at the competition, so he actually withdrew before the last event. So he didn't do the Stones of the World, which sucks. I think that's an event a lot of people wanted to see him on, and at this point, yeah, he finished the qualifying round with literally only 5 points. That's the worst he's ever done at Worlds, and that sucks. He says he hopes to be at 80 to 100% for the Rogue Invitational. Now, I might get crucified for this, but has he done enough to earn a place at the Rogue Invitational? Food for thought. Is he going to do some Giants Lives over the summer? What is he going to do? Because I don't think right now he's in any shape, or maybe doesn't even deserve to be there, and he needs to really go back and work on it. And I know that's harsh, but that's just the reality. There's a lot of up-and-coming hungry guys. We're going to get into some of those hungry guys who end up qualifying for this final this year. Another big surprise for many was Lucas Hatton did not make the finals. He kind of dug himself into a hole after the loading event. Even his words that he kind of underperformed on the overhead medley, the deadlift. So there wasn't much that he could do to crawl back out of that hole. He actually needed somebody to get between him and Shane on points, or the Stones of the World event, the last event for him to actually get to the finals, but it just didn't work out that way. With all 25 guys doing the same events, it's not necessarily a malfunction of equipment, but 20 other guys go before you, and they're allowed to use tacky towels, not full-on tack. Tacky towels suck, by the way. And he's just like, hey, the Stones are like, tackied up a bit, guys are sweating. I'm actually surprised that staff maybe didn't clean up the stones a bit, or a bit better, before each guy went, but it is what it is. And unfortunately, he doesn't make the finals, so we won't get to see a stupid overhead on the Flintstones press, which is unfortunate, but, them's the breaks. Him and his coach have talked about in the past that this might be their only World's Strongest Man. I hope not. I would hope he would like to come back next year and try to get to the finals. Will they have a Flintstone barbell press next year? Probably not, but still, I would like to see him shoot for Worlds again. Many of the people there and a lot of the fans this year have liked the new format, so it seems a lot better than, doing the Last Man Standing Atlas Stones and everything, so I would hope that he has enjoyed his experience here and he does choose to come back next year. Other shockers is Austin Andrade and Matt Ragg, vastly underperforming and also not making it out of their groups this year. Matt Ragg is also somebody who said he felt ill and got sick, whether it was before traveling here to Worlds or once he got here, but he just vastly underperformed. He was somebody that I was pipping to either be fourth this year or on the podium in third place. So that was a big shocker for me. But again, it is what it is. I thought he was going to come in fitter and better because he's dropped at least like 10 kilos in body weight. Some people are saying, hey, him losing that body weight, he's probably not used to it, and that affected his static lifts. So that sucks. And Austin Andrade, I'm not sure that he has said he was sick. The Texas boys haven't put out day-to-day update videos for World's Strongest Man just yet, so I don't want to speculate that he was sick, but we do know that he seemed to have an issue with his deadlift suit on the deadlift event, which sucks because he's a big deadlifter. I think because he lost the weight, he ended up getting a new suit and maybe just wasn't fitting right, or maybe it was too tight. The heat also does play a big part into it. Like, you got these big guys in these disgusting tight-ass suits that are crushing their balls, and, because of TV and everything, they're standing there waiting to be called before they can even, strap in and stuff. Also, the bar that they use is a stiff bar. I believe it was a bit thinner in diameter. People were having problems with their straps. Hooper was having trouble with his straps, so that might have affected him, and he needed big points in there, and he didn't get those, so that was his chance of him being in the finals out. All of these groups were pretty stacked. For everybody that was saying that, Group 5 was an easy dub for Luke Stoltman, he had to fight just as hard as everybody else. Everybody, outside of Evan because he got hurt, like second through fourth were only, a couple points in between each other. Nick Guardione almost could have made the finals, probably for a different set of events. Andrew Flynn also made a good impact on his debut. In other groups, Maxime Boudreau, is good to see him back on form, but of course he didn't make the finals. Tristan Hof held his own in that same group. And also big improvements for Evan Zanana. Working under laws is clearly a big improvement for him, and that's a good thing, where I know a lot of guys were writing him off for saying that, of 25 guys, he was the guy on the bubble, but he showed that he belonged here on the world stage. Now, moving on to our 10 finalists, We have an interesting group of guys this year. Like I said, there was a lot of perennial finalists who did not make it this year. Out of the 10 guys this year, we have 5 new finalists, guys who've been in the final for the first time ever. And of those 5 guys, 2 of those guys got to the finals on their debut. So for our finals, we have Mitchell Hooper, Tom Stoltman, Rain O'Neill, Trey Mitchell, Luke Stoltman, Patty Haynes, Shane Flowers, Andre Foytu, Pavlo Kodiaka, and Eddie Williams. You know, and of those names, you know what? That's a crazy lineup, and I am genuinely so happy for all 5 of the newcomers. You can say what you will about, oh, so-and-so wouldn't have made the finals because so-and-so was injured or whatnot, but again, part of Strongman is also surviving. They didn't get injured. They did what they had to do, and you know what? We're so happy for them. It couldn't happen to a nicer group of guys, especially Eddie, Andre, Shane, Patty, and Reno. You know, and I will be the first person to eat my words because I assumed for Group 3 that Lucas and Shane were going to get to the finals because I wasn't too sure about Reno. Well, in Nell we trust. I will not doubt him anymore, and, you know, I'm going to be very surprised. Now, I did just read those off in placement order because this year, instead of doing the Last Man Standing Atlas Stones, they basically did an OSG style event placing for all 10 guys in the finals. So basically, the 5 qualifying events that they did have now been reconstituted and, you know, counts for 1 point towards the start of the finals. So, out of all 10 of these guys, Hooper placed the best, so he starts off with 10 points. Tom will start out with 9, Raina with 8, Trey with 7, Luke with 6, Patty with 5, Shane with 4, Andre with 3, Pablo with 2, and Eddie with 1. So that's what they will be starting out with in the finals. So if you were somebody in the bottom of that board, you're going to have to work your ass off to crawl up to the top. Now, interestingly enough, that's kind of SCL style, and that's kind of what Reno worked with in SCL at the World Championships last year. I believe he had like 4 points starting out, and clawed his way to the top and ended up winning the whole show. So this kind of works out in his favor. He started off with 8 points in his first World's Strongest Man final. So I'm very excited to see what he can do. And just to recap what events we have in the finals, we have the Connect Carry and Hoist, the 18-inch Max Deadlift, the Hercules Hold, the Max Flintstone Barbell Press, and of course the classic finisher, the Atlas Stones. So with these 10 guys, we have an interesting group of finalists, made up of veterans, first-timers, and let's be real, people who probably never thought that they would make a final, who in their training have said, I would just be excited to get to the finals, and probably haven't even trained the finals events, you know, and that's not rude of me saying that. There have been people who have said that in the past. I think there are a handful of guys who are, you know, who go to Worlds every year, who are very confident, who will take the qualifying events and be like, that's just a warm-up, and then specifically only train for the finals events. You know, like your Hoopers, your Toms, what have you. And then there are guys, and I'm not singling them out, like Eddie, who's just like, I'll just be happy to get to the finals, who spend a lot of time training specifically the qualifying events, and then when they get to the finals, it's like, they'll soak it in, they'll get their experience. Of course, they're going to try their hardest, but that probably wasn't their main focus in training. I believe Shane said the same thing also in his story. He was like, I'll just be happy to get to the finals. Patty also. I think Andre, out of the new finalist guys, will be like the one who's just like, you know, I've trained these final events. I'm working on these as well because I want to make that final. Also, with their point standing, they're probably going to end up lower at the end of the day. But of course, anything can happen as World's Strongest Man. To make this video not too long, I'm only going to do top 3 on all the events. It's not me singling people out, but you know that's just the way it is. We're here to crown the World's Strongest Man, and of course, this will be a great experience for the 5 new finalists. Hopefully they can build on that next year, come back, and, you know, be more primed for the finals. First off, we have the carry and hoist. My top 3 on this event is going to be Tom in first, Hooper in second, and Shane Flowers in third. Now, of course, Worlds is where Tom mutates and shows up. This is his show. You know, he says he wants to go for number 4. I truly believe that he can get number 4, and he's definitely in contention for that. Tom's a big guy, but he's a fast mover. Working with Shane of MST has been mythical, has been insane. And I am so excited to see a full year of what him and Shane can do, because in the couple of months that he's been there, it's been kind of freaky. Originally, I had Hooper winning this, but I think Tom will want to really go ham on this first event, especially since he missed the total number of points in the qualifiers. Yesterday, not a nasty spill, but he kind of tripped up on the stone, the shoulders, and from the images that I've seen, it looks kind of scary. Hopefully he's not hurt, his feet feel good, but he's going to want to automatically want to claw that points back from Hooper in the first event of the finals. I think Hooper coming second. He's Hooper, he's fast. And then surprisingly, I have Shane as third. Just looking at Strongman Archives and seeing the events, when they had the carry and hoist at Britain's Strongest Man, he was top 3 on that event. So I don't see why he couldn't do that here again. Moving on to the 18-inch max deadlift. I have Trey winning this event overall. The man got 10 reps on the deadlift in the qualifying rounds. You know, he has the world record raw with straps at 470 kilos. You know, he's not somebody who trains for suits. I'm pretty sure he's not going to use a suit for this as well. I know that he talked about getting a suit in Law's video, but I believe that's for the World Deadlift Championships later in the year. But here I think he's going to do raw, and even though it's an elevated deadlift, I still believe he can put up an insane number here. World record, we'll have to see, because of course it's outside in the elements. I do believe it's going to be pretty hot today, just like it has been the last couple of days, so we'll see. And then I have Hooper coming in second. You know, some people say that he looked a little ragged, looked a little run down in his deadlifts during the qualifiers. Looking at the video footage that he did post on his YouTube channel, it just looked like, because of the diameter of the bar, it was quite slippy, and the straps were slipping. So he won't have that problem in the finals, because they are allowed to use figure 8s in this event. So there should be no slipping, no issues there. And then, surprisingly, you can call me crazy, I have Rayno Nell and Tom Stoltman tying for third place on the max deadlift. Now, why would I have Rayno there? Well, looking at the archives, because that's all I can go off of, his max elevated deadlift is like 480 kilos. Now, it's weird. It says in the PR section that it says it's a max 18-inch deadlift. If you click on the event, that was at FCL South Africa. It was a silver dollar deadlift, which is very different from a max 18-inch deadlift, just because of the diameter of the bar and the whippiness of the bar. Maybe the stiffness of this bar might get Rayno. We'll see. But he doesn't even know his max. He doesn't know what he's good at, what he can and can't do. And I think those are like the scariest guys in the final. Guys like, I've never tried this, but I'm going to give it my all. And Tom, I was going to rank a little lower, just because the last time they had the 18-inch max deadlift in the finals, he tied for like, you know, 5th or something with a bunch of guys. But that was literally 5 years ago. He's been working with Shane. Of course, he did underperform at the Arnolds, but that was him coming back from, like, you know, bad hips and whatnot. He did work with that other guy for a bit. I don't know. Shane could pull something insane out of him, so I don't want to rank him lower. And also, just think about it. With the other guys that are in the finals, they're going to rank a lot lower in a max deadlift. I believe Patty's good at deadlift for reps, but, you know, for max, he still has room to grow. Moving on to the Hercules hole, this is where some of the lower end guys in the finals can really show out. I have Eddie Williams coming in first on this event. You know, Eddie Williams, someone who could probably push Mark Felix on like the world record for the Hercules hold. And in his first finals, he's going to want to show out. He's going to want his TV time. He's going to want to show that he belongs here. And this can be the event that he can do that on. And take some points from the higher placing athletes. In second, I have Hooper, because Hoop does Hoop things. And in third, I have Patty, with Trey maybe ending up in fourth. Patty, of course, is one of the best grippers in the world. Of course, he's done better at things like the Hercules hold, which is a different movement pattern, downwards as opposed to side, but I don't see why he couldn't do well in this event as well. And then I have Trey coming in fourth. Trey, you know, doesn't have good grip at the Arnolds on the timber carry. Again, this is a different type of hold. He's done fairly well at the Hercules hold, so I can see that. And then we go on to, I think, the showcase event of this year's World's Strongest Man, the Max Flintstone Barbell Press. Again, it's super unfortunate that Lucas Hatton didn't make the finals, because he would have put up the freakiest number imaginable. He would have gone balls out. He would have gone balls to the wall. But, you know, at the end of the day, he did not make the finals, so we can only work with the guys we have. I have Hooper in first on this event. You know, of course, he is the split jerk guy. He has the max axle world record. You know, he's been training this like a beast. And like I said, if Lucas was here, I would have had him in second, but Lucas is not here. And with this group of guys, I can see him coming in first. I have Tom in second place on the overhead max. He did fairly well at this event in 2022. But again, working with MST has flipped the switch, has done something to him. I love how Shane has said, like, Tom doesn't really use like leg drive. So imagine him with leg drive, you know. That's going to be scary. Tom is a man on a mission to get his fourth title. He's not going to bow easily. And I believe what it was stated in some behind the scenes videos that they will have 10 kilo jumps per round. So with those small jumps, it will take a while for guys to, you know, to part the tide of guys who are going to drop out and whatnot. But I think that'll separate a lot of guys on points. Hopefully there's not a lot of ties in this event. You know, it'll allow some guys to get between others. And third on this event, I'm going to say Andre Foytu. Now, in training, posted on his stories, I believe his last session he missed a 230, but I saw on his Insta that he got a 240 press. 240 was big. Now, if you compare what the guys are putting up in training this year compared to what people hit in the 2022 finals, 240 is a great number. And again, with the guys that we do have in the finals, I could see that placing very high. I don't want to necessarily bet against Trey, but when it comes to overhead pressing, I do rate Andre over Trey at the moment, especially in this event. Now, I'm pretty sure Trey's going to push press it or do it from behind the neck, but Andre has been training the split jerk, and I think the split jerkers will do fairly well and do a bit better than the guys who are going to push press it. And finally, we have the Atlas Stones. You'd be a fool to bet against Tom ever on Atlas Stones. So, come on. It's going to be Tom first place on the Atlas Stones. Especially if it comes down to that being the decider, it's gonna go to Tom. And then I have Hooper in second, and I have Trey in third. There's some guys who can probably get in there. Patty, very scrappy guy, probably could end up top 5 on that event. I wouldn't bet against Trey though. But yeah, those are my top 3 picks. And those are my podium placers. Taking out emotions and how I feel about a person and just thinking about the athlete objectively, I do think Hooper is at an advantage. I think Hooper will end up getting his second title, whether you like it or not. Just because I feel like Tom will drop significant points in the Hercules hold. Especially with some of the guys who made the final this year. With Patty, with Shane, and with Eddie. That could be really bad for Tom. And that could be the true deciding factor of who wins this year. So I have Hooper in first. I have Tom in second. And I have Trey in third. That is my top three. I believe that is the top three for a lot of people. Of course, people want to see Tom get that fourth. Personally, I want to see Trey get his first. That's my thing. If it was based off promotions, I want to see Trey on the podium. You know, Trey holding that first place title. But again, if you look at everything objectively and on paper, numbers don't lie. It's probably going to go to Hooper. I'd love to be wrong. Tell me what you think in the comments below. You know, am I crazy for rating some of these people higher or lower in some events? Do you think Hooper's going to get his second? Do you think Tom's going to get his fourth? We will see tomorrow. There'll be more people there at the finals. Hopefully we can all find somebody who'll be trying to live stream or trying to post more videos on their Instagram pages, because I want to see as much footage as possible, and I'm sure you do too. Anyway, my name is Kai. I'm the Nerd of Strength. Thank you all for watching. If you like what I do, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. It'll help me and help the channel grow, because I know this channel's been pretty dead for the past couple of years, but I do want to get into posting more and talking more about strongman. This is the busiest time of the year, and I love talking to people about this show. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.